Are you concerned about the price of gasoline at the pump, or your utility bill, or your grocery bill? Are you concerned about these prices? Well, I hope to answer some of those questions on this episode of the Unleash California podcast. My name is Mike Umbro. I'm a native San Diegan. I love being outside. I love being at the beach. I love my environment. I love my community. And I represent Californians for Energy and Science, which is really trying to educate the youth in California as well as the broader populace of California on how our energy systems impact their daily lives. I started a nonprofit and learned about the nonprofit world through my continued education in the industry. So I started my career in 2005 after graduating undergrad. And then at that time in the United States, we were running out of energy. So prices of oil and gas were rising. We were looking for opportunities to invest. And then I realized I didn't want to be a financial intermediary or someone that was just looking for the next deal. I wanted to know how the energy systems were evolving. And a lot has happened in my short 20-something year career, where we've gone from we need more oil and gas to now we produce more than any other country in the United States. Yet in California, we pay more than anybody in the United States for gasoline or for power. And that's what really drove my interest in starting a nonprofit. The math wasn't adding up to me. How could we be a natural resource powerhouse as a state of California, yet we're paying the highest prices for natural resources? In California, we consume more jet fuel than any other state. We consume the number 2 amount of diesel and gasoline, just behind Texas. So we are a massive consumer of these products. When I started my career, we were the number 3 oil producer in the country. We're now number 8 and dropping. Demand has stayed the same. So we, as California, we've got 40 million people. We're consuming 1.8 million barrels of oil a day. Demand has stayed the same. But as we've shut down our local energy supplies and our local energy production, we've now become reliant on 75% of our oil sourced from the Middle East, which would be Iraq and Saudi Arabia, or the Amazon region, which would be Brazil, Guyana, and Ecuador. So we're literally exporting our environmental stewardship to these other countries while importing the same amount of product back into our state that we've always needed my entire life, 40 plus years. We've always needed this same amount of resource. We're just getting it from other countries now. The reason why California has dropped from the number 3 producer in the country to the number 8 producer in the country is because we've adopted the climate leadership agenda globally, not just in the United States, but Sacramento would like our state to be a model for other nations. And this is what's resulted in shutting down our local oil production and our local natural gas production, our local power plants, our local refineries, everything that this golden state was built upon and the thriving economy that we have is being shut down so that our carbon calculator goes to zero. We in Sacramento would like to see zero emissions, yet it's very hard to reconcile that when we consume more fossil fuels than almost every other state and more than most countries in the entire world. So it's a Ponzi scheme with carbon tracking. I would tell the average environmentalist that thinks shutting down local energy is good. I would relate it in terms of groceries or food supply. We hear the term buy local, where if I'm making pasta sauce, I'm gonna lean towards buying the local tomato, the freshest tomato without all the bad stuff in it, and I'm gonna bring that to my kitchen and it's gonna be fresh and the food's gonna taste good. Well, what happens when we shut down local production that is naturally occurring here is we still have to bring that in to our state to, in this case, make the refined products that power this state. And so what we're seeing is the California Air Resources Board literally says this in their scoping plan for the state. We will see 2 to 5 times more tankers delivering all of these products through our marine ecosystems, through our ports, poisoning the air quality around our ports with unabated emissions that are not regulated by Sacramento or our agencies. So we're still bringing that product in. Now we're bringing it in on a dirty vessel. And that says nothing about where the upstream production happened in Iraq, which is one of the largest flared gas emitters in the world. We don't know the supply chain, and we don't know the environmental stewardess and the laws that those other countries enact. And so we're really exporting our environmental leadership to these countries. And it's a very difficult conversation to have, because typically folks are saying drill baby drill, or they're saying shut it down. Meanwhile, the average middle class, lower class, working class family in California is saying, I don't care what happens. I need to put gas in the gas tank and I need to get to my job. And so the answer really lies somewhere between a hard environmental perspective and a hard industry perspective in a compromise. And right now that compromise does not exist. When I look at today with global conflict in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz, and knowing that our energy supplies, 25% of the crude oil coming to California moves through that strait that has been blocked, open. We are seeing tremendous supply disruption, number one, to the gasoline market and the refining market. But number two, we have the highest gasoline state excise tax in the country. And we also pay 38 cents a gallon for climate fees, which are called cap and trade and low carbon fuel standards. So between the highest gasoline tax in the country, as well as the highest and some of the only climate taxes per gallon at the pump, we're paying about $1.80 per gallon more on average than the rest of the United States for gasoline. So it's twofold. It's global conflict shutting down the supply chains, as well as heavy taxes at the pump. I have a copy of this Sunday's San Diego Union Tribune in my hand right here, and the headline is Golden State Blues, because everybody is feeling the affordability pinch. California drivers could see $8 to $10 gasoline, plus lines at the pump, because we literally are running out of the product. We have, according to this, 10 days of supply at the refineries, which is 15 to 30% below our average supply at our California refineries. And tankers coming from that Strait of Hormuz take 35 to 50 days on the water to travel here. That says nothing about the emissions on the ride over. What it says is the supply chain is broken right now, and we are at critically low levels of supplies on our shores. So we will see $8 to $10 gasoline this summer unless we drastically cut back our driving as a state. Another news story in this Sunday's UT is talking about city streets to degrade to poor category within a decade. Why this is important: our state excise tax at the pump that we pay, 60 cents a gallon, was raised through a ballot measure that we all voted on under the auspices that we would be having the greatest roads in the country. And now we're seeing that we are underfunded by $1.1 billion short of getting our roads to just fair condition. Meanwhile, the state excise tax at the pump is set to increase again July 1st. So while we're seeing ever increasing taxes at the pump to pay for our roads and to give us high quality roads, we are literally seeing the opposite, where our roads are falling apart and being reported as poor and at risk compared to every other state in the nation. So San Diegans and Californians are wondering, what are we paying all these taxes for, and where is the money going? So the last thing that caught my attention in recent events was a story about energy efforts hitting headwinds. So we are being told in California that we can get off fossil fuels if we electrify our transportation and we electrify the system. So we need more power generation. The plan from the California Energy Commission is to build 25 gigawatts of offshore wind off the coast of Humboldt County in deep water. It's hitting headwinds because, number one, you have to build specialized ports just to move this massive equipment. These wind turbines are tall as skyscrapers, and they're going to be floating on the Pacific Ocean. And we need 25 gigawatts of this just to keep the lights on in California. So this story is talking about the difficulties of just getting this project launched. And so what we're seeing is an absolute failure to transition us within appropriate timeline and a plan that protects our affordability and reliability of our fuels or source of power. And now we're wondering, can these projects even be built in California? As we see, you can't build homes in a reasonable timeline. You can't rebuild the Palisades in a reasonable timeline. What's making the people of California have confidence that we can build floating wind turbines that don't exist anywhere in the world to the nameplate capacity of 25 gigawatts of power? It's a huge goal, and we're stumbling off the starting block. To the point of paying for energy transition projects, we are paying 38 cents a gallon at the pump for these types of projects. Another example is the high-speed rail. North of $7 billion has been collected at the gasoline pump for a high-speed rail project that is connecting Bakersfield to Merced, which almost no Californians will ever ride, but we're paying for it every single time we fill up at the pump. And so these special projects have a way of picking our pockets where we don't know where the money's going, if the projects will be completed, and if any of us in our lifetimes will reap the benefits of these new systems. So with all that being said, it's not all doom and gloom for California. We're focused at Californians for Energy and Science on educating the youth at the high school level and the collegiate level, and then sponsoring and contributing to studies on energy economics and the environment. So we just completed this study with Cal State Bakersfield, talking about fueling Kern County, the contribution of oil and gas workers on Kern County's economy. And what this document shares and shows is that when we were coming out of COVID, the oil and gas workers in our Central Valley contributed $3.5 billion alone to Kern County. It was the largest contributor to that county's GDP at over 8%. These jobs that are employing people in California are employing 70% Hispanic workforce, a diverse workforce. They're paying, and this is all in the report, north of $100,000 a year to workers that might not have a high school education. They might have been to prison, but this industry employs people that are willing to work hard. And so part of the solution that we're trying to impress upon students, the general public, is that we don't need to reinvent California's energy systems. We simply need to look at what has worked to build this state to the number 4 largest economy in the world. We are at a nation state level where we have the best climate in the world. So it baffles me to think that we need to bankrupt all of the people of California to save the climate when the world's best climate is the reason that we live here. And we can protect that climate. And that's what studies like this are showing. We also work with UC Berkeley. We work with University of Southern California, the Marshall School of Business, and we're hoping to start work with other universities across the state of California to show that we can produce the energy here locally. We can protect, and we do protect, the environment, and we can bring affordability to the people of California. But this is going to be a long effort. It's going to take time. So what we need people to do is simply go to our website, energyandscience.com, energyandscience.com, all one word. You can join us and put your email there so you get our weekly newsletter. You'll also see on Unleash California 2026 tab of the same website this report and other reports like it from leading academic institutions in our state that talk about oil, gas, power, energy broadly in the state of California. And so we just invite you to join the movement and learn with us as we start exploring and continue to explore what makes California the golden state. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe to the Unleash California podcast wherever you subscribe to your podcast. I look forward to continuing the conversation with you. Thank you for listening or watching. Until next episode of Unleash California. Have a good one.